All right, so today we're going on with our unit, and it says that what we're going to be looking at is a thing called the circumference of circles. Now, circles are a little bit different because we name things slightly different with them, so let's look at that first. First of all, if you can see in my diagram here that I have a diameter and a radius. So you did have looked at this before. So our diameter is a line segment that goes from one spot on the edge of a circle through the middle of the circle and again straight across to the edge of the circle. So that's called a diameter. And you've seen this before where a radius is half of that. So it takes two radiuses to make, or two radii, to make one diameter. And you can see that in the diagram too, that if I went and extended it this way, this red line looks exactly the same as the blue, and it would be. Okay, now I'm just going to get rid of that so we don't get confused after. So we need to pay attention to what kind of measurement unit they give us, whether they give us the diameter or the radius. So here's a really quick example. What is the diameter if the radius is 4 centimeters? So they have told us the radius is 4 centimeters. So we know our diameter is going to equal 2 times the 4 centimeters. So we have a total of 8 centimeters. Now often we're not really looking for the diameter. Often we look for what the radius is, but that's important. We can go back either way. Another thing that we look at when we're dealing with things, circles, is this funny looking it looks like a funny little drawing. What it really is a Greek letter, and it's called pi. Okay, it's a Greek letter, and we often just say it's pi. And you probably know that we use pi is equal to 3.14. So whenever a formula has pi, we can just substitute with the number 3.14. So another thing with circles is, if you remember from yesterday's lesson, we were working with perimeter. Well, guess what? The perimeter of a circle is called a circumference. So the circle's so special, it has its own special name for its perimeter. Okay, so it's the distance around a shape. So in this case, it's the distance around a circle. And that's the perimeter, and for a circle we call it a circumference. Now there's two different formulas. There's one that says circumference equals the pi, 3.14, times d, or we could use circumference equals 2 pi times the radius. So depending on what the question gives us, whether it's diameter or radius, we can choose either formula. So let's look at two examples here. So the first example is find the circumference of the following, and it's going to bring it up. So the first one you can see is a circle, and they have given us the measurement 8, which, if you notice, is all the way across, which means they gave me the diameter. So I can go back and look at the formula that I want. And at the very top there, you can see this is the one that I want to use. Okay, pi d. So I'm going to just write down the formula because it's way up there and it's harder for me to read it. And I'm going to put 3.14, because that's pi, times 8. Now notice I'm not putting a time sign, I'm just putting a bracket, because that's when two numbers are together, we know that that means that they're being multiplied. So I'm going to take out my calculator and I'm going to go 3.14 times 8, and what I end up with is 25.12. And again, my units in this case, I go back to my picture and I can see that the units that I have this time are meters, so I'm going to put meters here. The final question, again, we're finding the circumference, but this time what they did is they didn't give me the diameter, they only gave me the radius. So I can either use this formula that we used in the first question and figure out what the diameter is, or I can use the other formula, which was up here, which makes more sense, less work for us to have to do. So again, I'm going to copy that formula down. Circumference equals 2 times that pi times the radius. So that's 2 times 3.14 times 3. So now what's going to happen, again, I'm going to take my calculator and we are just going to punch those in. So 2 times 3.14 times a 3. So we're looking at 18.84, in this case, 8 centimeters. Okay, so that's how you find the perimeter of a circle. You find its circumference, which means the same thing. Have fun.